We need to bring that energy back, and there's no way that I know better than significant art pieces.
100-foot sculpture in the Netherlands big. That's how big we're dreaming.
When the art comes first, more creative entrepreneurship in that area.
What are your dreams, visions that come to Broad Ripple after the art? From South Bend to Evansville and everywhere in between, this is Get In, the show focused on the Hoosier State and the incredible stories happening here today. I'm Nate Spengel, founder of Get Indiana, and I will be your host for today's conversation. I want to take a minute to tell you about my friends at JC Hart and the opportunity that they are giving to Get In listeners. They are offering summer savings and up to 2 months off of rent at these brand new communities, East Bank in Noblesville, The Edge on the north side of Indy, and Wheelhouse in Westfield. If you're looking for an awesome place to live, you need to hit up my friends at JC Hart. Go to homeisjchart.com/Nate and check out all their cool properties. Or if you know someone that's looking for an apartment here in Central Indiana, send that link to them and JC Hart can take them on a personalized tour. You know me, I'm all about Indiana, and JC Hart is as Hoosier as it gets, and they do some amazing things in our community. And they also wanted me to let you know that they are always looking for awesome people to join their team. They just made the list of best places to work in Indiana for the 13th time. Check out their open positions at homeisjchart.com. Now, today I'm joined by Jason Myers, a world-renowned multidisciplinary artist with over 30 years of experience. He's known for fusing industrial and traditional materials. Jason creates emotionally evocative public works of art that explore technology, identity, and human connection. He lives in Indiana and also has a studio in the Netherlands with permanent works housed in museums like Newfields. I'm also joined by Tag Birge. Now, Tag is a local business leader and philanthropist. He is the CEO of Cornerstone Companies and Birge & Held. He's a passionate supporter of the arts, community development, and culture right here in Indiana. Tag played a pivotal role in funding and organizing the Gavin-Divergence sculpture installation that's coming here to Broad Ripple. Newsflash, you've probably seen our clip that went viral. We're bringing these guys on to talk a little bit more about the Gavin-Divergence installation that's coming to Broad Ripple, learning more about Jason and his beginnings in Logansport, coming back to Indiana, starting his art career in Broad Ripple. I'm really excited to get into this. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
This is going to be super fun. Shout out to Hasbrook for unintentionally making this introduction. First off, we're going to say that off the jump. Ryan, really appreciate you. I'm excited to dive into this. I'd like to start and kind of set the scene of what is this and what's it going to be?
Gavin-Divergence is part of an ongoing series of works that sort of span the globe. They're in Europe as well as all around the United States.
How many different pieces is this?
I think we're at 15 right now.
Okay.
So, and they range in scale from about 15 feet to 60 feet. The next one in the Netherlands will be 100 feet. So they range in scale. And
is it statue? Is that what we like? What's
sculpture?
Sculpture. Okay. There we go. First off, get your art terminology right, people. It's a sculpture. So the first one, what was the first piece in the Gavin series?
So it actually came out of, I'm also a painter. So there was a series of paintings, have always gravitated towards using the human form. Why? Because throughout the history of art, all the way back to Lascaux cave paintings in France, the human form always conveyed a message. And what I appreciate about sort of an abstract human form, one that you don't recognize who it is or necessarily what it is you can sort of contain elements of the human condition. You can contain emotions. You can contain content with very little literal element to it, but you can still convey like emotions. So Gavin sort of came from a person I met a long time ago that struggled with life. And every day for that person was sort of a struggle in life. And as I learned about things like the Sisyphus metaphor and...
For people that may not know, I mean, if we were going to get like the Sisyphus metaphor.
So that was Sisyphus. It's like out of ancient Greek mythology. And basically the quick story is Sisyphus would work very hard every day to roll this rock up the hill. And as he'd get almost to the top of the hill, the rock would roll back down. And so you know, for most, that's kind of a unending struggle. Like every day it restarts. And so I kind of identified with that because some other series came out, Soldiers of Life. We're all kind of in this struggle every day with no matter what we do, you wake up and you have a grind. And the paintings were more about the struggle of life. After doing, you know, a couple years of these series of paintings, when I moved into sculpture, I sort of pulled that character from the painting series, and it took on the three-dimensional form of the same content. The first Gavin sculpture I did was basically a life-size version. The paintings always had writing in them. And so I had a 10-foot video wall behind the sculpture, which was articulating writing from like my journal it was like a white screen. It wrote to black, filling the entire screen. And then as it got completely black, it was white writing that brought it all back white again. And the sculpture would disappear and reemerge based on this video wall behind it of turning from black to white. And the sculpture was metal.
I think I've seen a video of this, like maybe on your Instagram or somewhere.
Yeah.
First off, whoever your video editor is, kudos to them, because you put out some like hype art content. Like I was watching one of them and I was like, oh my gosh, this is like a hype video, like a pump up video for a sculpture, which is so cool. So I think I've seen this one. If you haven't, go check out Jason's Instagram and see the first sculpture installation of Gavin.
And it was actually here in Indianapolis,
okay,
at the Long Sharp Gallery downtown. Nice. So,
well, and you started your career here in Broad Ripple, right?
Yes. After graduate school, I went to graduate school in Washington, D.C., American University, taught there a couple years, and then immediately wanted to come home, back to, you know, my hometown. And after looking around in Indianapolis, obviously Broad Ripple was the heart of the art community. And I lived here for quite a while, short of a decade, but over on Kingsley and just right in the heart of the neighborhood. I loved it here. Raised my kid here and started my art career here.
That's amazing. And Broad Ripple is actually predominantly what ties you two together now. So Tag, this resurgence of art in Broad Ripple is something that you've just like spearheaded. I'd love to know what your connection to Broad Ripple is and why this public-private partnership to bring art to Broad Ripple is so important to you.
Everybody knows that Broad Ripple is and has been the art and cultural hub of Indianapolis. The art show started in 1970. The Broad Ripple Art Center moved here in 1979. Michael Graves built the beautiful Broad Ripple Art Center in 1995. 2005, they added the outdoor park. And most of your viewers don't know, we did an inventory of it. There are over 70 pieces of art in Broad Ripple. And so you look at what has made Broad Ripple strong over the decades. It's the art, it's the cultural, it's the public spaces. And so when I started to see Broad Ripple have some struggles, which we're all familiar with, I said, we need to lean in to what has been incredible for Broad Ripple. Similar to Jason, I was just down the road at the University of Virginia, about 90 miles south of American University. We're both part of Generation X. There was no place that we were going to go if we came home other than Broad Ripple. So I lived in Broad Ripple for a decade. And so I had these strong ties, similar to Jason, and want to see Broad Ripple remain the top art and cultural district. And I believe that when you bring art, it really brings life, people, business. There's great examples in our own community. I mean, you think about the Dancing Lady on Mass Avenue.
Which is so interesting, right? It's like, it does seem that art is a leading indicator of just a vibrant cultural area. And it's like, this is a video board of Dancing Ann, and it's just so cool. And people like want to build businesses around there and shop there and drink there and like dance in front of her and put it on your Instagram story. It gets so interesting.
I mean, I'd say there's probably been several $100 million of development on Mass Ave. We spend a fair amount of time in Miami, and we've seen what is happening in Wynwood. Wynwood was unapproachable 15 years ago. And then they started, doing some Instagram kind of backdrops to buildings. Then some public art came, and they've probably had $400 million of development.
Yeah, and it's like all those like murals on everything down
Everywhere.
there. It's so cool.
It just started with the simple. I mean, I bet the first mural in Wynwood was not more than $1,000, and that just led to the creativity, the re-engagement, businesses wanting to come, retailers, restaurants.
And Jason, you're no stranger to Miami, right? I mean, you've been. Is it featured in Art Basel? Like, talk to me about your relationship with Miami and Art Basel.
So I've been going to Miami for Art Basel for roughly 25 years.
How long has Art Basel been around?
Basically 25 years.
So you're a veteran when it comes to Art Basel, which if there are any listeners that don't know, it's like this global art event. I would say it's like all this.
The premier art event,
Yeah.
really in the world.
It's crazy. Like if you've definitely seen it on Instagram, like scrolling through, it's like every celebrity from everywhere is there and like the best artists in the world. And so you've been around Art Basel since the beginning?
Yep, since the beginning. And since they were flushing out, Wynwood, which is probably the reason Art Basel developed there. Back that long ago, I was more into different kinds of art and street art and things like that. Seeing it change, Wynwood change from a regular old industrial area to the hub of the art scene in Miami. What an amazing thing to watch. So
Really didn't take more than 10 years from that first mural to just totally transform that area.
Like what do you think? Obviously, I'm sure you've read research or studied or seen other places, other examples. How? Like 10 years, he goes from an industrial area to like this vibrant hub of culture. Are there other factors at play, or is it just like, hey, put the art here and like if you build it, they will come?
Miami is the port to the south, right? So
South American countries.
South American countries. So, which is very dominating in the art world. The influence of South America is huge. So, fashion also moved there after that. Movie actually, the movies started filming there. But I think the main reason that Miami sort of exploded in the art world is because of, once it got started with the street art and the graffiti, you had this whole flow of South American artists that sort of moved in and culture took over. Community took over, and of course industry, capitalized on that, and it got developed so quickly. It went from no galleries to, at one point there was about 120 galleries
In Wynwood?
In Wynwood itself, yeah.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
it went from being a complete industrial sort of automotive.
I would say it was a no man's land for a long time.
To the biggest art hub probably in America. The guy who did Soho, he came down and kind of got involved in Wynwood Walls, and that was sort of a hub in the center. His leadership in it, sort of that helped a lot as well. Miami is a place where international crowds come. Mm-hmm. And so, that definitely aided in how quickly it grew, in my opinion. So,
Yeah.
The other thing I would say about art, whether it's Miami or Central Indiana, we have another great example just down the road, which I believe is one of our competitors now. I'm an Indy guy, I'm a Broderpool guy, but Carmel is right down the road. And you look at the Seward Johnson, the kind of familiar themes in life, and Mayor Brainerd had a vision 15 years ago. And I think he's done 10 to 15 pieces in there. And we all know the amount of economic development. We can see it with our eyes. It's still happening today. And I think, your original question, Nate, is why art and why economic development? I think art activates an area unlike almost anything else can. I think there is an emotional response that's very positive, that human connection to art. And so you bring the activation, the positive emotional response that art brings, and that can lead to creative energies being released. We've seen it in Broderpool with the 70 pieces that we've had since probably 1980 something. But we need to lean into that in Broderpool. We need to bring that energy back, and there's no way that I know better than significant art pieces.
And that's going to be an interesting piece of feedback. Even looking through the comments of the first video, right, was there are people that might not see the value of art. Like, and it's probably because they haven't done research or they don't see that, like, that's usually the leading indicator or the first domino in economic development, cultural relevancy, all of those things. What would you guys say to, like, the quote unquote haters that, like, don't think that that art can change an environment, a place?
I would say, show me a case study, because I deal with data and case studies. Show me where there has been a significant investment in art and where those leading economic indicators haven't improved significantly. I don't think you would be able to find that. I think you'd find the inverse. When the art comes, the economic energies get unleashed. You activate areas, you bring more people, you bring interest, you bring business. And one of my hopes is that, we will start with more restaurants.
Yeah. It's kind of like a chicken or an egg thing, right? Where it's like, do areas that are like starting to turn like and boom, do they then get the art? Or is it the art comes and then the economic development comes? That's an interesting piece. What would you say, Jason?
Well, I would say it probably works both ways sometimes. I've done a lot of case studies too for different things that I'm working on. And the one thing that when the art comes first, what it usually drives is more creative entrepreneurship in that area. So, the restaurants have a lot more creativity in them and different, concepts. And so
startups, entrepreneurs come to the area.
And it's not like that this is the first art piece in Broad Ripple, right? Like, it has been for many, many years, well beyond my time, an arts and culture hub, or the premier arts and culture hub in central Indiana. Jason, I'd love to dive in specifically to this piece, like what this is going to look like, what we can expect, and maybe give us a little bit of a story. Like, people driving by, let's say I have a visitor. My friends from northern Indiana, which is where I'm from originally, they come to town, they see Gavin in Broad Ripple. And I want to be able to talk to them about, it is this sculpture, but it's also this. Like, I sat down with Jason and he explained the broader meaning of Gavin.
I want it to be like a watchful guardian, an illuminated, overseeing, watchful guardian for the area. And so, the light is a very integral part. It's all built of steel, some recycled, a lot of construction type materials. Then the light is the sort of important piece that gives it the sort of charge and the energy, and something that you can see from a long distance. So 30 feet tall, we want it to have a presence and be well seen from the entire area.
And it's like, there's just that feeling, and it, like, you can't really explain it, but you know it. When you pull up to a neighborhood that just has a vibe to it, like when you pull up to a Wynwood, or you pull up to like West Hollywood, like down by LA, and it's like, man, there's something happening here. And you just get you just start smiling. Like when you pull up to Broadway in Nashville and you're just kind of cheesing because it's like life and energy and fun. Like that, I can just see myself like in an Uber coming down Westfield, light glowing in the distance. Like, oh man, we're ready to have some fun. We're ready to like go out, whether it is like whatever it might be, whatever you're doing. You're going to the Vogue to see a show. Like, that's just a cool, watchful guardian that kind of just like is your handshake. Welcome to the neighborhood.
A beacon welcoming everyone to Broad Ripple. I like that watchful gardening.
Yeah, I love that. And like, so 30 feet tall, made from some recycled steel, construction material, illuminated, this watchful guardian. Is there anything else that you want to make sure people know about it when they see Gavin?
Its relationship to Broad Ripple is kind of significant as well. I mean, besides living here and being part of this art community, throughout history, Broad Ripple was always the art hub or the culture hub. The divergence is sort of the idea that Broad Ripple strayed from the standard path, and it was very much about embracing many cultures and many types of people and all these different elements. And found unity in that diversity. So the idea of it being Gavin-Divergence is based on that sort of aspect of the community and Broad Ripple itself. It's just always been that kind of community where people come together from all walks of life, and I wanted it to really reflect that.
Feedback, again, I'm kind of basing this off of stuff that I remember seeing in the comments from the first video, was why Jason? Like, why Jason was the right guy for the job to build this incredible sculpture. Tag and I can kind of talk through your accolades and, kind of tee you up to all the amazing, incredible things you've done over your illustrious, I will say that, 30-year career. So one piece that we kind of mentioned on a little bit earlier was that Gavin is part of a global art installation. So like other pieces, kind of we talked about in the beginning, are in the Netherlands, Miami, Palm Beach, correct?
Yes.
Like, that's cool. Like, let's say people are, as they're traveling around the world, and like maybe I've seen part of this installation in the Netherlands or in Miami, and like Broad Ripple, Indianapolis is like in that same mix. Like, I think that's really cool. And the fact that you are an international artist, like you have a studio in the Netherlands. You just talked about before we started recording that you also are building another studio in Napoli, Italy.
Correct.
Like, that's incredible. And that from the Logansport berries to then a global artist. Like, I think that is incredible. Tag, as you guys were looking for, obviously, like I'm assuming the first thing that said was we should bring some art to Broad Ripple. And then how did you end up finding Jason?
Well, I mean, actually, the first thing I thought is we should lean into our strengths, which is arts and culture, and reinvigorate what has made Broad Ripple incredible. Since 1970, when the art fair just started, I had been exposed to Jason's work probably 15 years ago. And because I spent some time in Miami, I get to go to Art Basel pretty often. And I've always left thinking that Jason was one of the most talented artists that I've come across.
Did you know when you first ran into his work, did you know he was from Indiana?
I did know he was from Indiana. And so I've watched his career grow. He's internationally collected, both privately and by museums. He started his career in Broad Ripple. He's done amazing work up in other parts of the state. He's all over the world. And he understood with Gavin-Divergence, the uniquely diverse community that we have in Broad Ripple. And so he brought all those perspectives to bear. And I think, if you think about a piece 15 to 20 years from now, you want something that's going to stand the test of time. And I think this Gavin, which is really a beacon to the diversity of Broad Ripple, will stand the test of time. And I think Jason's career is just on the ascendance.
Yeah.
And so we're getting in, probably in 5 years, we wouldn't be able to afford to have his pieces, frankly, from where I'm seeing the collectors and what they're doing.
People from around the world are going to come to Broad Ripple and be like, there it is. That's the piece. You also did some work just up the road. You curated the 100-acre Crystal DeHaan sculpture garden. How long ago was that?
12 years ago.
And that now is like the the RH, Restoration Hardware. I don't know what the branding is on that, but that's that piece,
it's
right?
the RH Restoration Hardware flagship.
Which like people go crazy for it. Like apparently that place is like the coolest spot in town.
It's definitely a cool spot to eat and see some art. You feel like you're in maybe Tuscany.
Yeah, but you helped curate that sculpture garden.
Yes. I opened a gallery, the first international gallery in Indianapolis, which was Art Box Gallery.
Where was that at?
In the Stutz 2 building.
Yep.
So I spent about 15 years in that building, many different art-related businesses, design, architecture, fabrication, art gallery. Crystal selected us to do the entire curation of inside and outside, the grounds, the sculpture grounds, and then the interior of that massive home.
That's Crystal DeHaan, the founder of REI. So I mean, she was a significant consumer of art, so pretty high praise to select Jason as his team.
I mean,
and it was a 5-year project. She wanted work that was international, national, state, and local. So we came up with a curation that included all of that. And it was about around 100 pieces that came as far as from, Sweden, Eastern Europe, Italy, Belgium. I mean, works came from all over the world, and a very extensive collection, which is nice that it's now on display for public access through
Restoration Hardware, right? Like
because it was private at the time that I did
and
it.
so I'm sure that because that was in the last couple years that they took that over. So that's awesome that people get to, that tons and tons of people, anyone who wants to, right, can go in there and experience that 100-acre sculpture garden.
And it's something to see. I definitely recommend.
Well, and that's like the talk of making art available for more people, right? Like private groups and public groups are working together to increase art for all of us, Broad Ripple residents and people that come through and visit the area. So Tag, can you talk to me about what had to happen? Because there's one thing I know. Usually, government and private don't necessarily always work together the best, and definitely not very quickly, and all that red tape and things that go on there. Talk to us about how this came together.
I will say that it's been a great partnership. I did think we could do it in 3 months, and we're probably going to get it done in 24 months.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah,
And but we have great partners. The Broad Ripple Village Association. So we first presented this idea to them. They were amazingly supportive.
When you say they, like who's they?
The board. So we presented the board and said, "Hey,
Well, no, sorry. Who's the they that are presenting?
Okay,
like you're
yeah,
saying,
so-
like, is this the royal we, or is this like you and other partners, or like who?
So
all?
Jason and I approached Jason and said, I think we could do some real good in Broad Ripple with the quality of your pieces, lean into the art and culture district, but we got to start with the Broad Ripple Village Association and see if you have a partner that is open and willing to bring, avant-garde modern pieces to their most public places." And I will tell you that Jordan and Mark Dimmerly and Tom Giroux, the leaders of the group, when we presented, could not have been more supportive. And from those conversations, we started gathering other stakeholders that we would need. The Penrod Society, through some of their foundation giving, is an active participant. Bowen Engineering is helping us underwrite part of the cost for the sculpture. The Broad Ripple Art Center is ultimately going to be deeded the sculpture. They're going to own it in perpetuity. So we really put all those stakeholders together, which is necessary if you're going to put a 32-foot sculpture in a very public place with an easement. And if the Broad Ripple Art Center hadn't stepped up to own it, just those basic questions, like who is going to own this sculpture 50 years from now? So
when you say an easement, like talk us through. I think a lot of us have great ideas. Like I'm a wild thinker. Like let's do this crazy thing. Like how do you actually put this all together to like put a 32-foot sculpture up somewhere? Like what are the steps?
I would tell you that being a real estate developer for 30 years is problem solving. So to me, this was like a complicated set of facts that you had to work through.
Were there times like throughout this? You said it's like almost a 24-month journey that like. You said a real estate developer for 30 years, problem solving. Were there moments where you're like, oh, there's hiccups that we've had to overcome or like new problems to solve to make this come to life?
I wouldn't say that we ever for a second thought about walking away from it. We're also committed to what the positive impact that this could do for Broad Ripple, and we have such a great partnership. Of course, I would have rather had it already up and installed, but that's just my impatient self, which is not uncommon to be found in the private sector.
Yeah, right. It's always like, oh yeah, we can get that done. There's like a trend going out where it's like, I'm the owner and we're gonna do like it's like I'm the owner of the coffee shop and we're gonna sell 1,000 cups of coffee today. And it's like I'm the barista and we're gonna sell 100 cups of coffee today. Like it's just like
well said.
When you want to like move real fast. But it's good to have balance, especially being up in 3 months is awesome. Like it would have been really cool. But when you're thinking the test of 50 years, 100 years, like if you want to build a piece with longevity, it's kind of good to have people.
I should add that we also coordinated by the Broad Ripple Art Center and the Broad Ripple Village Association.
And the fun part is that this is just the beginning. I can only imagine what the building process, the fabrication process of a 30-foot sculpture is. Like that has to just be an undertaking for sure.
The metaphor in the piece, the struggle that I'm portraying, it comes through because of the struggle of the fabrication. So I enjoy it. I enjoy the complexity and the way that it has to be physically done. It's made of a lot of metal pieces.
Some of it's recycled steel. Like, are there like thick times that you're like holding up like I-beams or something trying to get this thing put together?
Yeah, I use cranes and forklifts and chain hoists and...
How do you get a 32-foot sculpture from Logansport to Broad Ripple?
Well, I ship them overseas, so from Logansport to here is actually easy.
You gotta like mark the side of the semi truck like very fragile. Like don't mess with this thing. It's got a mission to serve.
But yeah, flatbed semi. We load it on.
Just imagine that like coming down US 31, just like a giant human like
gets a lot of looks.
Yeah, people be like, "What the world?"
Now I do disassemble it down into sections. So like the feet to the knees are one section, the knees to the hips are another section, and hips to head is so. And then I actually stack it up.
There's one thing as you look around the current art landscape of Broad Ripple. It is very friendly. It's very invited. It's very like duck focused. You know, like the rubber duck.
Right.
And you talked about avant-garde, right? Like this innovative, maybe not quite edgy, but like it's different than like a giant sculpture of a rubber duck, which is kind of on brand with a little bit of the art that we have today. Was that a hard process or talk about the, I don't want to say negotiations, but the discussions had around this new style of piece?
That was one of the things Jason and I wondered, was Broad Ripple ready for contemporary art, steel, backlit, interesting hard edges, sculpture that, will dominate the skyline of Broad Ripple. And I think really when we did that presentation, it was the divergence understanding, which is, the understanding the diversity of Broad Ripple and what Broad Ripple brings together. It was the quality of art, the fact that he's in 5 museums around the world, and the fact that, everybody knows that art and culture is what has made Broad Ripple the place to be for 50 years. And if someone thinks it's a little edgy or a little bit avant-garde, that means they're talking about it, and that's probably a good thing for Broad Ripple.
Exactly. Like you want people to feel some type of way about something, right? Like I always say that those are my best videos.
There won't be a lot of neutral opinions.
Yeah, right. And like those are I always say those are like the best videos for me. Even it's like people either love it or they hate it, but at least they're talking about it, right? And the fun part is that it doesn't stop here. I know that this kind of current partnership, I believe, also is working on a future project. So maybe you guys want to talk about what else we can expect coming down the pipeline?
My family's committed to doing a second project in Broad Ripple. From there, I'm hoping that we prove out the public-private partnership, which is so strong. We improve out some of the impact. And I'm hoping that we can bring in much larger foundations that could help do. I'd like to see 4 to 6 really significant pieces strategically placed around Broad Ripple.
Like in a perfect world, we're not holding you to this. This is not like unofficial, but like if you could just like not copy paste, but let's like click and drop some cool art pieces. Like where would you put art around Broad Ripple?
Oh, I'd probably have one near the old firehouse. I'd definitely have a couple pieces on the Monon.
Is the firehouse moving? I don't know what's gonna happen to the old firehouse when they move it, but like that is like an all-time. Like if there's a bar developer out there, like a fire pole, and I don't know if that's safe, but I would love that personally. That'd be really cool. Or like a slide at least. Hey Hoosiers, let me tell you about Keller & Keller, a respected Indiana-based law firm that's here for all of us, from Evansville up to South Bend. They've been serving Hoosiers since 1936, and they really know what it means to fight for the community. These guys have recovered over $1 billion for their clients. Yes, that's billion with a B. That's a serious track record of getting results. And here's something that should really make your wallet feel good. They have a 0-fee guarantee. That means you don't pay a dime unless they win your case. Talk about peace of mind when you're hiring a lawyer. So if you've been injured here in the Hoosier State, don't hesitate to call 1-800-2-KELLER to get the support and guidance you need. They mean business. Now let's get back into the episode.
And hopefully this encourages more. I mean, if there's, the Monon, the walking trails, smaller pieces that sort of, build on those elements in the community.
And we have like business leaders that, watch our clips or see the podcast. Like, I think that knowing I think that the statement that you said early on in the show about, well, look at a case study. Like, show me a place where people are investing in art that economic development doesn't follow. Like knowing that, yes,
it's almost hand in glove.
And it's not like maybe it's not necessarily like, okay, spend like a return on spend, right? It's not like put 100,000 in, get $1 million out, but it's like there's some correlation there. Like look through it, right? Because you're spending on culture and arts, like good things are going to follow. How much good things? Who knows? We don't have the exact.
I mean,
number.
you could argue that the cultural trail in downtown Indianapolis by the Wick Foundation was the precursor to 6,000 apartments have been built since that cultural trail was put in. I mean, what's that
What's
ROI?
the ROI? Yeah, right. So talking about that, that's the leading. So I think that if you think of business leaders that are like, oh, like, you know, what's the ROI? Why would I invest in art? Well, there it is. Look at that. Look at the Wynwood case study over the last 15 years. Look at these other locations all across the world. Or maybe like in this point, it's like Broad Ripples are kind of already arts and culture, but just kind of the resurgence here. The other piece that I think is really interesting that I love about where you come into this whole thing, Tag, it just pays to like dream big, you know, like it helps to, obviously you've been a real estate developer for 30 years. You have like the right people to call, but like, if all of us just like thought about, okay, there's this thing I want to do. Like I want more art in Broad Ripple, or I want to put a sculpture here. And if you actually start to put some rubber to the road, like if there's a CEO out there that like, you know, I want to do this thing, like there's like a lot of merit to just going out and figuring out how to make it happen, like solving the problems. And I think that is really cool. I don't know if necessarily without the like get it done ability of someone who wants to get a project done in 3 months, like if all of it comes together. I don't know, Jason, what would you say from the other side?
No, I've seen the other side of the non-private aspect of it, and it's 20 times slower, and it can fade out easily. Administrations change, or hierarchy of structure in a community changes, and projects fall away. And so this is how things happen. This is how it really happens. So this is the way it works.
I mean, one thing I would like to add to what Jason's saying is Indianapolis as a city funds art to the tune of about 20% of what a competitive city like Cincinnati is, example.
No way.
Yes.
You're
in
saying
terms of
that
public dollars.
20% of like on the ratio
Of the budgets, if you look what is allocated for public art. And so the only way that we're going to have the amount of public art that we want to have is that it's going to require public-private partnerships. I mean, Indianapolis is blessed because we have the largest endowment in the world, so that has offset some of that lack of public investment.
For those that don't know, that's the Lilly Endowment.
But the private participation in this space is absolutely critical, and there's no budget that I can foresee from the state or city where that's going to move up. It's going to probably go down. And so you're going to need private leadership with public partners to bring public art to public spaces.
And see the value in that investing in this will pay off, whether it's 2, 10, or 20 years down the road. Like that investment is going to pay off in spades. Because I know a lot of times you have this conversation, especially if you have with a true just like art purist. It's like, we need to invest in art because it's art, and and being able to come at it from the business perspective to get buy-in from the private sector on like, yes, because it's pretty, and yes, because it makes you feel good, and yes, because it also will bring all these other economic development indicators. Like I think once you can bridge that gap, then you're in really good shape. What would you say to other business leaders out there? What would your pitch to CEOs or people that may be considering funding these public art projects? How would you convince them to join into the cause?
Well, I think we all know that for those who live in Indianapolis, I mean, Broad Ripple is our original and strongest arts and cultural district. I would say that you can't have great suburbs without a great city. You used to say you can't have great city without great suburbs, or suburbs are great. And we need to reinvest. And I do feel that the arts have been underinvested in Broad Ripple. And if you have the ability to give, this is a unique opportunity to give back.
Amazing. I love it. As we round out the show, we have a couple lightning round fun segments to hit. This is our Younger Years segment. It's brought to you by our friends at Orr Fellowship. They're a great organization here in Indiana helping develop young business leaders across the state. So Jason, we're going to start with you. What advice would you give to your 22-year-old self?
Don't impose self-imposed restrictions. Sky's the limit. Take chances. Dream big. Don't dream small. Dream big and go big. Chase the goal.
100-foot sculpture in the Netherlands big. That's how big we're
From
dreaming.
Logansport, Indiana to the Netherlands.
Come on. I love that. Taking the berries worldwide. Tag, what would you say to your 22-year-old self?
I had some amazing mentors in my 20s. So most of my 20s were spent in two places. At a law firm where I was billing by the 15-minute interval, working about 60 hours a week. And then by the end of my 20s, I had about 30 rentals in Broad Ripple. And so I was up and down the Monon when I wasn't sitting behind the desk, usually on a bike, doing a showing, collecting rent, trying to meet a mother who wanted to tour with her daughter, trying to deal with a maintenance issue. And so it was about 80-hour weeks for most of my 20s when I was working. And so my advice to my 20-year-old self is give yourself time to smell the roses as well, because youth is fleeting, as we all know, us Gen X guys. And it's great to dream big, but smell the roses along the way.
I think that's really good perspective.
advice.
Obviously, Broad Ripple is very important to both of you individuals. Paint me a weekend or a day in Broad Ripple. Like, what are you doing? What's like your dream Broad Ripple weekend? You got no other plans. You're stopping and smelling the Broad Ripple roses. What does it look like? What are you doing? What do people need to have on their radar?
One of my favorite things to do is to ride my bike with my wife down into Broad Ripple. And we'll start out at half liter. We'll have 2 or 3 beers, preferably not on a 95-degree day. Then we will ride in to Broad Ripple. We'll have dinner at Petite Choux.
Oh, we had Martha on the pod, and she is just incredible. What she's built there, like,
Amazing.
it's so incredible. Like, that's Broad Ripple. Like, Petite
That's
Choux,
Broad Ripple.
that's Broad Ripple.
Creative, distinct, unique. And then we'll go listen to some live music, and then we'll ride home.
Heck yeah.
On the Monon.
People that live in Broad Ripple sometimes don't. I don't know if we take. We might take the Monon Trail for granted. It is so sick. It's awesome to get everywhere we need to go. Jason, what's your Broad Ripple bucket list?
But I'd also stop down on the river, and I would stop down at the Indianapolis Arts Center. What they have going on there is really amazing. It's kind of hidden, and I would definitely take some time to enjoy that.
For people, I mean, all of us, anyone who lives in the area has walked, ran, biked past that spot. Was it 66th, maybe? Is that the cross street in the Monon? Right in that area, somewhere right in there. Yeah. Like right before you get to the first bridge. I've never stopped in. Hand up. I haven't. They're probably going to watch this. I'll be there soon because, Jason, you're going to sell me that. Like, what do I need to go there? What's the reason why people need to stop by there?
Historic, it was a Graves project, Michael Graves. They're currently renovating it. But when you go inside, there's about 6 different galleries that always host 6 different shows. So it's like a museum right in the middle of Broad Ripple. What it is in this area, I mean, it's young artists, it's emerging artists, and it's usually about 6 shows in 6 different galleries. Yeah. And then you have the sculpture garden outside along the river. It's just a beautiful area. It's nice and quiet and usually cool with all the cover outside and lots of art to see.
And Mark Williams has done a great job as the new CEO, and he's raised significant dollars to reinvest in that art park, which is another part of the resurgence in Broad Ripple.
Heck yeah. I love that. And that area is kind of cool too, because it's like those almost like Spanish style houses or condos or whatever across the street. Got to look like stucco, right? And I'm like, you got to get into that neighborhood and you're like, I don't know what's going on here, but I like it. It's fun. Okay, so we talked about, I have 4 questions left for you gentlemen. We talked about arts and culture being a leading indicator of good times to come, right? These 2 projects go in, more art projects get funded, like we have 6 or 7 sculptures. What do you hope this brings to Broad Ripple? Like from either restaurant perspective or entertainment, like we get the art. What are your dreams, visions, goals, hopes, aspirations that come to Broad Ripple after the art?
Re-energizes the area in terms of arts, culture, entrepreneurship, art galleries, restaurants, families, a place that people want to congregate and want to connect to the art and to the nature of Broad Ripple. It's really what we've had for 50 years. It's just leaning into that. Like every area in the city, around the country, there's ebbs and flows. And I think art will bring us back to some of the highest points we've had in Broad Ripple. And I think it will bring back many of those things that kind of make things livable.
Yeah. I think if we could wave a magic wand, it's like, I love Half Liter. Like the outdoor area there is so cool. It's like, how could you even find something also that's like accent that, like a Rathskeller North? Like, hey, if they ever listen to this, like, come on, let's make that happen. A little beer garden, outdoor live music. Because the Vogue is great, but there are just some nights that you just want to maybe drink a beer outside and listen to whoever the artist is. They do, actually, 45 does a good job with Rock the Ruins and they're putting the Broad Ripple Park concert series this summer. We just had Jenny from 45 on.
Another area of art and culture revitalization, by the way, bringing it back to Broad Ripple.
Like music and like getting crazy cool artists. Like we had Jenny on and she talked about how they had Steven Wilson Jr., who's from Seymour, Indiana, and he's like one of the fastest growing country music artists in the nation. Wow. He's from Seymour. He sold out the Vogue in like 15 minutes or something like that. Like maybe less. I don't know. That might be basically they dropped tickets because he booked it early and then like blew up. Joe Rogan started talking about him and all of a sudden like everyone knows who he is. And yeah, he played the Vogue and sold out in like, I don't know, minutes. Which is so cool to see all that coming back to Broad Ripple. So these are the final 3 questions that I ask everyone who sits in the chair. They're all about the state of Indiana. Obviously, Jason, you've been around the world. Art, your career has taken you to the Netherlands, to Italy, also around the country, to Miami, and all these really, really cool places. But what's one thing the world needs to know about Indiana?
Indiana is sort of forgotten in terms of, or dismissed in terms of how much creativity is going on here. I'm actually part of a regional planning committee on art and culture. And the more that I've learned about all the elements in all of Indiana, from the north to the south, is like how much sort of resurgence and art building and culture building is really going on right now here. It's on a level that I think most people just actually wouldn't even expect out of a state like Indiana. That's what I would say. I would say you'd be surprised at how much art, culture, and creativity is in a corn state like Indiana.
Yeah, like I feel like that's like one of the things that I love putting this out is that like soon, one day, whether it's a year or 5 years or 10 years, people won't be like, oh yeah, like that's crazy that Indiana does these cool. It's like, no, people are going to know that we're doing all this cool stuff and that like good people live here and creativity happens here. And they're not going to be like, oh, it's good for Indiana. No, it's just good in general. Like Broad Ripple isn't going to be like a good arts and culture hub for Indiana. It's just going to be a good arts and culture hub, period, full stop. I love that part.
What's going on in Broad Ripple, I would like to see it become a destination for people looking at public art. I mean, it can be a draw from states around, regional draw. It's definitely got that potential.
Heck yeah. Tag, you spent a lot of time down in Florida. What would you say the world needs to know about Indiana?
Civic engagement. We are a community that works well together, that public-private partnerships can work, where volunteerism is still alive. And when you have a unique level of civic engagement, you can pull off things that others can't. I mean, I think I've been on the sports court for years, and I've watched all these amazing sporting events. We haven't talked about sports at all. Go Pacers tonight.
Yes, sir. Not that we're recording this in the middle of June.
Yes.
This is recorded right before it goes live, just so everyone knows.
And so I think that level of civic engagement is one of our secret weapons. And for all the creativity and diversity of Miami, they don't have a fraction of what we have in that space.
Yeah. Come on. All right. 2 questions left. We'll go through these ones pretty quick. This is your chance to highlight something around the state of Indiana that's not getting enough love. So we'll go Tag and then Jason. Tag, what is a hidden gem in Indiana?
There is a monument in Riverside Park to a gentleman named Thomas Taggart, who was my great-great-grandfather, and he started the parks in Indianapolis. And for years, we were trying to figure out how to save the monument, but we could never figure out how to raise enough capital. The Historic Landmark Society got involved. A guy named Jim Badley led the charge. The Lilly Endowment put $8 million into the Thomas Taggart Memorial, and they helped start Shakespeare in the Park. So they are revitalizing the Old North Side through Shakespeare, art and culture, and revitalize an old monument that was, probably a couple years away from falling down. And I've been to those shows, and it's amazing.
How does that make you feel? Like, this is your great-grandfather?
Great.
Double great-grandfather.
Double great.
How does that make you feel to go to a show in your home city and see the community rally behind not only restoring a monument, but like bringing this new life to a park here in
I mean,
Indianapolis.
it's invigorating because it's a part of the city that has had challenges, and it's yet another example of where art, culture, and theater can help revitalize. And there's young families there, and people are enjoying the shows. And it was an area that was completely dormant and falling down in disrepair.
Yeah, I'm really excited. So I run the Monumental Marathon every year, and it comes through Riverside. And I'm like so excited for that part to get a little more energy because you're at like mile 21 and there's no one out there.
Get ready to go.
Yeah, and you're like, there's no one there, and you're like dying. It's like the worst miles of a marathon, and you're like, but if there, I'm gonna be looking for the monument next year when I run it.
Right.
Jason, what's a hidden gem in Indiana?
The hotels downtown in Indianapolis, for a place to go see world-class art and, you know, not be stepping into a museum or not be stepping into a gallery. The Intercontinental just opened with a big art collection. You have the
Great
Conrad,
rooftop.
You know, just for a...
So not just the hotels, it's the art within the hotels downtown Indianapolis.
Yeah, like Spectator Day. You just go into the hotel, you know, enjoy some lunch and be able to view amazing collections of art. And that's something that I think 21C down in Louisville kind of kicked that idea off, and hotels have been picking that up. You know, Fontainebleau in Miami kind of rode on that as well.
Conrad here has always had great art.
Yeah.
I actually have art in there, so
Hey.
stop and see some of mine.
Come on.
But no, it's sort of a nice sort of amenity that you can just go and enjoy.
Yeah.
So.
Final question for you guys. This is how we source new guests or just learn about Hoosiers that are doing interesting things. We'll start with Jason. Who's a Hoosier that we need to keep on our radar? Someone who's doing big things.
Walter Loban Hamilton.
Album cover collages at Newfields.
He had an amazing exhibit at Newfields, but he's definitely gaining a lot of national traction. And his work's very powerful. It's very kind of monumental in scale. And, you know, I think he's probably one of the most creative artists, in central Indiana right now.
With the albums, or like the records, that's so awesome.
Yeah, thousands and thousands of albums he makes into all these big installations.
Okay, that's a really good one. Tag. Who's a Hoosier we need to keep on our radar? Someone who's doing big things.
Caitlin Clark.
Yeah.
You look downtown, they're actually tearing down an old jail facility to build a practice facility for the WNBA. My 83-year-old mother came home wearing a baseball cap for the first time in 83 years, and it was a Caitlin Clark sparkling hat, sold-out game, transformed a league. I mean, she will probably end up being bigger for the city than Peyton, which is just incredible.
Isn't that awesome?
And we just sit at the beginning of her career.
Yeah,
I mean, it's going to be hugely impactful.
Not even 2 years in to like her professional career. She does have a standing invite on the podcast. Her people and my people that might have like got jumbled up a little bit, but I think at some point we'll get her on the show if she listens to this. I know she's an avid listener. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on. The Broad Ripple art resurgence that's going on. Tag, I appreciate you kind of spearheading this initiative. I'm really excited to see the work that you put together, Jason. I think the overarching themes of this episode, right? Indianapolis is a place where the public sector and the private sector can work together to get stuff done. Even if it's not in a 3-month timeline, it's still, I mean,
a reasonable time frame.
A reasonable time frame, right? 2, Broad Ripple is the oldest cultural district.
Art and cultural district in Indiana.
In Indiana, right? Like it's in the history, you know, like you said 1970 was when...
That's when the art fair started and the Broad Ripple Art Center moved here in 1979.
Yeah, like there is so much arts and cultural history. So it's not like we're starting from zero here.
We have a running start.
Yeah, exactly. And the final piece is that like what Gavin that won this piece, this installation on this broader, I don't know what the right term is, but like it's part of a collection.
Ongoing series.
Yes, a series, right? This installation is just one of a global series. And to have that like node be here in Broad Ripple, I think is spectacular. And knowing what this piece means to you, how you were inspired to create this, and what it's going to mean for our neighborhood. So I'm really pumped up. I'm excited. Q2, Q3. Stay tuned. We'll be dropping right around that time. Gentlemen, thank you for your work to really elevate Broad Ripple and elevate Central Indiana as a whole. It's awesome to see Indiana represented on a national or an international scale when it comes to art. And Tag, thank you for all the awesome things you're doing across Central Indiana.
Thank the partners.
Yeah.
The public partners.
If we wanna find more about your art, Jason, or Gavin in general, where can people find you?
On all social media, Jason Myers Art or jasonmyersart.com website, or pretty much just Jason Myers Art.
I have one final disclaimer of this. The one thing, we put out that clip, again, shout out me and Hasbrook, come on. People were very adamant that they wanted an Indiana artist to create this piece. And as of an hour and 19 minutes into this recording, I can say with 100% certainty that Jason is a Hoosier from Logansport that has done incredible things representing our state, not only here in the States, not only down in Miami, but internationally, from Italy to the Netherlands and beyond. I'm really pumped to see the work that you put together, guys, and I appreciate you stopping by the studio.
Hey,
Thank you,
thank
Nate.
you so much for having us.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Get In. If you like what you heard, make sure you leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts. This show is made possible by our friends up at Sweetwater. Whether you're looking to start a podcast or take your content to the next level, click the link in the description to see all of my gear recommendations at sweetwater.com. If you want a behind-the-scenes look at everything we're doing across the state, make sure you follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Nate Spangle. Thank you so much for listening and being part of what makes the Hoosier State great. We'll see you next time here on Get In.